whoever you are and whatever it is that you are doing, if you really want something, that desires originated in the soul of universe, not you, soul
Yeah.
of universe.
We all come from the universe.
Yeah, and that's the only, so accomplish that mission. It's a mission in your life, and to accomplish that mission is your only real obligation in the world. And then if you really want something, the whole universe will conspire
To help you.
to help you.
So you guys got married in Cambodia?
And we did.
Wow. So how did that happen
It's
so
a
fast?
really unique situation. I don't know. I didn't never really thought about getting involved in marriage relationship that fast.
Right.
But when it comes to like relationship and love, I don't know. I listen to my heart than my
Right.
rational brain.
Well, they don't work together usually.
Oh,
Yeah.
and just I thought maybe this might be the love of my life.
Right.
Basically.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And we thought about, okay, should we wait until my mission over in Cambodia and maybe go back to Japan and married, or should we go back to the U.S. with
Yeah.
him and then married? But either way, like none of my group people, family and friends won't be able, not everybody presenting, if I
Right.
go to the US, and then none of his side of people are able to come to Japan.
Right.
So why don't we get married here in Cambodia?
Yeah.
So it was kind of unique wedding. It's just like a really handmade wedding with the people that I worked for. And the coworkers and the people from other nonprofit and the people from embassies and the people from local government and
So just put together, huh?
together, but that are all people that we worked together
Yeah.
and knew, and and the wedding dress was like didn't have like a Western style wedding dress, so I kind of draw my kind of like a dress that I like, and then took it to the local.
So you had it handmade.
Yeah, local seamstress, and pick a material from the local Cambodian silk shop,
Yeah.
and then and they sew it for me. It
That's
was really
awesome.
pretty. It was
Yeah.
only $20. So this is always like, so local, market is so
Yeah,
cheap, and
typical
everything
young-
is so
yeah.
cheap, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there you go. Instead of spending $10,000 on a wedding here, $20 and you got a beautiful handmade dress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it white?
It was white.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had
Silk.
the traditional colors and all that stuff. Okay. So you guys get married.
My parents actually flew from Japan, and then
Oh.
his mom flew from the United States. So at least we
Oh.
had those families.
Okay. Yeah. So at least you had the parents there. Yeah. So I don't think either your parents would have been too happy if
Yeah,
you
they
guys would have
they
just
did.
eloped and not been able
Well,
to at least attend.
actually, prior to, of course, to the ceremony, I needed to bring my fiance to see my parents. So actually, I went back to Japan together with
Oh,
him.
okay. Because
So
of the
have a meet.
tradition.
It's very
Yeah.
important for for parents to sort of approve the marriage of the
My
the
parents
daughter.
are like that too, and I grew up here, so yeah.
Yeah, and my parents really they're surprised, but I think they were really open to the international sort of cross-cultural marriage. I mean, of course, they have not. They don't speak English very well, and they don't know what to expect.
Right.
But okay, if he's the one that you chose,
It seems like your parents are just supportive. of
yeah,
that
very
always.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because especially traditional parents usually are not supportive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And certain cultures have very strict rules, especially when it comes to marriage. But it just seems like they've always been supportive of you, and it's because of that, you've always been the one wandering the world and
I think
helping
so. I
people.
think they
Yeah.
basically know me, who I am, and they just knew that just they're not going to convince me to live the life as they wish. You know, they wish me to live my life and be supportive, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Most parents don't do that. And were your friends' parents the same way in Japan, or were they more strict and traditional?
I think well mixed, but I think yeah, the cross cultural marriage will be probably a little bit tough. Yeah, parents are not too happy, but you know, in the end, at the end of the day, what you
Yeah.
can say,
Yeah, and they
it's
just want you happy, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So now you get married, and obviously your dream school was Berkeley, but you went to Chico because of your husband, right? What happens after you get to Chico?
So now, um, up until then, I thought my life, my career was just going very well. Like I was pretty adventurous, and my job was challenging but exciting. Uh, but that I was really passionate about it. Well, I think that I didn't know what's the real toughness in life. I think after by the time that I graduate, well, actually, so while in Chico, I was expecting my first child. So after finishing my first year, my son was born. So you know, it's life has some
Yeah.
interesting twists and turns, and then
You have a plan, and then life laughs, right? Yeah.
yeah, I didn't actually really have a set plan.
Right.
It happened.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I really had no idea what it's like to raise children, and then I wasn't always the person who like longing for marriage and then having a child and have a big family. I never really been that kind of a girl. So I have no idea how difficult and how challenging it is to raise a child with and I have no family nearby, or I had no like a close friends nearby. So I was sort of left alone with the newborn baby, and then I had another year to go to graduate. So it was a really tough
So you're
situation.
trying to finish school, your master's degree, and also raising a newborn baby. Where was your husband at this time?
So we were actually both taking the same graduate program. Not the he was in environmental science, but we were both in college. And then after my son was born, no, you gotta go get a job. Like you can't just be, you know. We talked through what to do next, and then you can just keep two full-time student and raising child financially, it's very difficult. So we had
Yeah,
some
you guys were still
yeah,
still college students.
yeah, we had some money saving, but I was a little bit concerned, you know. Okay, we need to be serious about getting a job. But that, well, my job is now sort of taking care of my son, but you really need to go get a job. And then he agreed, and then he as a working as still working on his master program, he got a job, and then that transferred us to from Chico to Portland, and we lived in Portland for just short of 1 year, and then he got transferred by the same company to Chicago. So within like a year or two range, we moved like 3 times. Yeah, from one place to another. But it's a job, so
Follow the job.
yeah, every time we have to move, I have to kind of reestablish my lifelines, like making friends, get to know neighbors, and yeah, how to get around town and find a new doctor. It's really a little bit tough time for my life. So I decided to postpone to of my education, because I thought it's just handling everything, moving and newborn baby, and then working in a class, it's just impossible. So but luckily, because I worked so hard to get pretty much all the coursework done within a 1 year or year and a half, all what I left was like independent study and then master thesis to finish the master program. Almost done. And by the time though we were in Chicago, we thought about it. Well, maybe we won't have another child, and might as well having one. So my daughter was born in Chicago. They were 2 years apart, and so I had now 2 kids. Yeah, and there was a time limit that my credit expired before my credit from the Chico State expires before actually getting a master degree. I needed to finish everything within 5 years. So I took, a couple of years off from school, but that I wanted to finish. So I did. So when I finally finished my coursework and graduation thesis and graduated, my son was 3 years old, 4 years old, and my daughter was 2 years old, I think.
Oh, wow.
So
You're taking two young kids, moving all over the place, and you were managed to at least still get your master's degree done.
I did.
Wow.
That was actually pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, being a mother is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. Like,
Yeah.
people don't realize. My sister, she's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of 3 kids,
Uh-huh.
right?
Oh wow.
And all of them like are under the age of, I think, 7,
Yeah.
or 8. I think my niece just turned 7 or 8. Yeah, but they're all like young kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a hard job.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine like you're handling 2 kids plus moving too is like you said, like you're in a new place, you got to get to know everything. Things just like you said, like a doctor, a grocery store, like where's my gym, where's this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you managed to knock out a master's degree, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
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 So what happened after you got your degree? Did you guys stay in Chicago for a while?
No, my husband got transferred back to California by that
so back
time.
to
So this was
California.
the last move for a while.
Okay.
And we settled in Ripon, California, Central
Right.
Valley. And that's where we stayed actually next almost 17 years.
Wow. So
That's
you're-
where we raised children. They went grade school and middle school and then high school and graduated. And so that's where we lived.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So what was it like raising kids in Ripon?
it was Ripon is a kind of unique town. It's in the Central Valley, a little bit away from Bay Area. I really wanted to live closer to the Bay Area, honestly. But it was like a living cost and housing was so expensive in the Bay Area. It's still very it is, but that was back in 2003. Still very expensive, and my husband has I had a dream of having a big house and then settled down and then so I kind of compromised and it was a really small town but the safe and very good school and a lot of parents are strong in education, so it was a pretty good place to raise children. Other than the fact that we're a little bit away from the city, but there is a surrounding city like a Modesto or Stockton, and it's just a suburban city basically. So I didn't have any issue. I just needed to get myself known and with the local people and make a friends again and. Because people in the Ripon, like school teachers and the neighbors, and they are not really. I mean, I'm the only Japanese, of course, and then I'm the only. It's a white community. Right. It's a white community, and then quite a bit of Hispanic population, but not many Black or Asian or Asian Americans. So I was big minorities, and then I was sort of outsider. Yeah. So the good things is that I really like to volunteer with any good cause. So I volunteered at school. Okay. I volunteered at the community organization, so people accept me, right, and work together. Right. So that's how. I enjoyed in life in Ripon, while I trying to establish my career, because it was really difficult for me to get back my field of nonprofit in like a humanitarian aid work in Ripon.
In Ripon, yeah.
It's impossible. So
It's a
I needed to
farming
kind of
area.
readjust that. And what can I do without actually relocating and in Ripon while raising children almost full time? So I decided to become a writer, the freelance writer, as a political and social and economical, cultural issues. I So from that point, next almost 9 years will be I developed my career as a political writer to the Japanese publications. I wrote in both Japanese and English, but mostly published in Japanese. I wrote a lot about what's happening politically here in the United States and reported to Japanese people, and
Lots of juicy information to give to the Japanese people.
yeah,
With the political climate here.
yeah, and something that's not that you can get it from the mainstream media. I wrote from my own point of view.
So you wrote like during the 2000s, right? And in the 2010s and
I actually started from 2006, and then I wrote throughout 2014, 15.
okay.
Yeah.
So that was like the Obama administration and
Yeah.
was that the end of the Bush administration?
End of Bush, and then starting Obama administration, which is kind of exciting time to report on the Obama
At least you had some
campaign.
good stuff. you know?
Yeah.
Some stuff the Japanese would-
grassroots,
yeah.
movement and democracy and first time black president,
Yeah.
and then it was really exciting news to report.
And how did the Japanese kind of take that? How did they view America during that time?
Yeah, there's a lot of enthusiasm about the Barack Obama rising from like a community organizer to become a
Kind of your background, right?
Yeah, sort of. And how he galvanized the community and the society and run the campaign. And then he is an inspirational speaker, very charismatic and very smart. And
What a president should be.
I think that prior to that, though, there was like a exhaustion from the war in Iraq, like Iraq and Afghanistan. Because U.S. got involved in that war, and every nation pretty much in a developing country like EU, Japan, got involved in that war as well.
They kind of had to, yeah.
Yeah, so there was some exhaustion from that war, and there's some kind of a desire to switch over, like
just a change.
Change was
Hope.
Actually the campaign
Hope,
word
change,
for Obama campaign.
Change and hope.
Yeah.
It was funny because so a joke, right? I think it's Chris Rock. He's a comedian. He says like Bush messed up so bad he made it hard for a white man to run for president. You know. So that was kind of funny. The change that everybody wanted, right? And then talking about the political climate. So during that time, 2002, 2003, like when you moved to Ripon, I was in Sweden pursuing a love, like my ex-wife, right? But I was actually in Stockholm in 2000. I flew to Sweden the day Bush declared war in Iraq. The day he declared war, I flew literally across the world, right? So imagine, like, I was scared, but I don't let fear stop me. But the airports were completely empty. Everybody was kind of on edge. And I'm like, this is really like a good idea, but I wasn't going to let anything stop me, right? So then I'm in Sweden in 2003, and I'm in a cafe, and I see a march against the United States. 30,000 people in Sweden marching against the United States. Like, people had like signs that said Bush, Hitler, like like US this, like why, like killers. And I'm just like the only American probably within I don't even know how, And it was just crazy because before the war, if you were to travel, being American was a cool thing. Like you could just tell people I'm American, and everyone was like, "Wow," you know. After the war, you couldn't even say you were American. It was almost like it wasn't even safe. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to kind of say that, mention that because talking about political climate and all the change and all that, I experienced the difference of being an American abroad before and after the war, and it was a huge difference. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So now you're writing, and you wrote all through. So what? How long did you write for? Are you still writing or?
I kept writing on and off on the side because that was a freelance job. So I did it while I was raising children
So
and getting
you were
involved in
volunteering?
volunteering.
Yeah, yeah.
And the being a mom is like almost full-time job.
Yeah, it is a full time job. Yeah, yeah.
And then volunteering, and then also working as a freelance writer. And but I wasn't making that much money. It's a the how if you're working for the new big news organization, you will have enough income, but that you won't be able to report what you want to you know what I mean?
There's
It just
rules. Yeah.
yeah. So I just didn't want to be a big propaganda, or what I kind of wanted to express my opinion. So I just kept doing it a freelance job, but that at the same time, I really needed to become financially independent. That was kind of a next steps up. And but by that time that I had my personal issues with my husband, and then our marriage are kind of dwindling down, and then we are so we weren't finalizing that yet, but that in my mind that I know that it's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to leave this relationship. So, but before I get into that conversation, I wanted to sort of establish my finance.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean, your whole life you had been basically taking care of kids, and not been able to establish the career part, right? Yeah.
yeah, so the part of it is working for the corporate America as a part-time administrator, and sort of that got me putting in 1 feet into the career, although it's like a really administrative job, and then it's not something that I wanted to do for a long time, but that I needed to start somewhere, and then kept writing. So it was like I was handling a lot of things, juggling a lot of things, and a lot of things, and then eventually, oh, so here's the part of the my venture as an artist coming into play. So back in 2006, in the midst of all this chaos going on in my life, I was also dealing with a little bit of depression, and so just too much going on, and wasn't too happy where my career is going, my relationship's going, and I had 2 kids to take care of, and then it was just really didn't know where to go. So my therapist recommended me to do the art, like as a part of therapy. So there's a lot of things in life that you cannot control over, right? But art, it's something that you express what you want to express. It's very creative, and then I didn't know that kind of way to express myself before, because I never really studied art, never really did an art. But I and then I thought about it, what I would be expressing, what I would be writing. And if I create something, I want to do something important, or maybe something that valuable to me. And I decided to pick up a brush and then wrote the name of my kids in Japanese letters on canvas. I didn't know what would be the outcome, but that I kind of tried it out, and then it turned out to be it's really interesting piece of artwork. It was a pretty large size of canvas, like a 36 by 36, and there's a big calligraphic letter in the middle, and then I kind of did the design around it, and adding a texture. I kind of self-taught everything, what kind of a medium that I use, or what color that I use. Kind of did the research and then try and error, and then I figured it out, and I completed 2 pieces of art, one each for my kid's name, and then wow, this is nice. And I
You
felt
found
like
something.
like I make something to my perfection. Like I don't have to compromise anything, and that will give me such a satisfaction. And then I discovered the joy of the whole entire world of art. Yeah.
All right, so you discovered art.
Yes. So that was my starting point of part-time artist, and then
Okay.
of course I wasn't thinking about become an professional artist at that time, but the people who saw my art really liked it, and then started to asking me to make a commission art for them.
Wow.
Just as I did it for my kids' name on it, some people asked me to put their kid's name or their favorite character on canvas and make a beautiful art like that. So I didn't take that much job, but then I basically did a sporadic commission work
Okay.
for
But
them.
you had people that liked your stuff so much that they would pay you,
Yeah.
or like they'd ask you to make art pieces, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually did a little bit of showing. After I made a few collections, I did participating in an art show in some cities, including Sacramento, Oakland, Saratoga, and then I display my art in art gallery in Modesto and in San Francisco. So I did it for a few years actually, and made some money, and I was still thinking about what I else I could do to actually become financially independent. Yeah, but that was one of the income stream that I had. Yeah, and then at one point, I'm gonna move on. While I was still figuring out, I was still doing this freelance writer and doing a part-time artist, and I worked for the American company for a short time. And at one point, I met the guy at one of the meetup in San Francisco, and he invited me to one of the seminars of financial seminars.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know what to expect,
Right.
of course. And then I was only what I was told was like, well, some very influential guy is gonna speak, and it's about like finance, and it's about like a passion and in life, and then all that. I thought it was just okay, interesting. So I went to listen to that seminar, and it was actually eye-opening because I realized how blind I was about the finance, like how to make money or
Right.
save money or investing money in that kind of things. And I was more, as I grew up, I didn't really have to worry about money so much, and then my focus was in like a non-profit field, and then
Right.
the money came with it if I had to work, right? But I never really thought about how to handle money very well, and that was part of my problem in marriage relationship as well. So okay, this is very worthwhile listening and then kind of learn. So that's how I kind of got into the financial education.
Yeah.
And,
It's true. It's very important,
It is.
especially for women whose husband handles all the finances most of the time, or maybe they never, even not even just women. Most men don't know anything about finances either. But in your situation, it was probably even more important because your whole life you'd spent volunteering, helping people, and raising kids. That was a missing piece that maybe you needed that helped you a lot.
Right. So, there was a time that I had a job,
Yeah.
and the job, as long as you do the job, that
Yeah.
you will get the income, like a salaries.
Right.
And that just like my default. And then I didn't even think anything more than that. How actually you use the money or save money or make more money off of it. So, it's kind of opens up the eyes and realize that knowledge of money is a power,
Yeah.
like a power in your life, like a power and control in your life. And so that's how I got into become a financial advisor and an educator.
Yeah.
And yeah, then you know that.
Yeah, that's where we
The
met,
story.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you were there for a little while, and and so did you learn? So was that experience? Did you carry that with you? Because I mean, obviously, that company has helped me a lot, and that's a big reason why I'm doing this podcast. But is there anything that you learned during that time you were with the financial company that has now helping you with with your current Lovetheway and the things you're doing now? Are there some things that you've learned that are helping you now?
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
So during that time, the focus was like industry was like a financial industry, of course. So the knowledge and skills are very important, and then I learned a lot, and then my colleagues and my partner shared all the knowledge with me, and then it's really helpful and helped my finance, and then it helped me to help others as
Right.
well.
Of course.
So, and besides that, I think I learned like how to mentally tough. Like, when you have some missions, you how you accomplish that mission, and then, it's like you don't. People are so easy to conform to what other people are doing,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we all humans have some weakness to go to the easier route, because it's just an easy path, right? But when you have a mission, the hurdles come to you, and but without getting over those hurdles, you don't get where you want to go. And that might be a tough road and high road, but that's what you need to go. And then just and put yourself in the environment or maybe a group of people who has the similar missions or similar philosophy in life. It really helps you to develop the mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And
The winning mentality.
yeah, the winning mentality, that is the big time helped my life, and to moving on to the different paths. I think that financial advisor job wasn't like it was a tool to me. It was
Right.
it was a tool, but probably it wasn't my passion.
Right.
And I needed to acknowledge that myself, and then needed to find my own passion,
Right.
and then later on discovered it. But that time that I spent with that company was really valuable
Okay.
in my life.
Good. And so, how did you find Lovetheway? How did this all come about?
Okay, so like I mentioned that my life, I struggled a lot in terms of establishing my career. I already mentioned that I was part-time artist, I was a freelance writer, and then I worked for the corporate America, financial advisor. What came next was like I actually got offered by the Japanese company that the position to manage the company in San Francisco, and I needed to take that job to become financially independent. And then my kids are growing, and then my kids are, moving toward the college, and then I really needed to have the stable income. So I took that position, and then I was doing really okay for a while. But of course, that wasn't my dream job, but that I needed to take one. While taking it, I was still searching what's next, right? And then 2020 came.
Oh yeah. There
Like
goes 2020. Yeah.
It hit the world, and it hit everybody's life.
Right.
And it impacted my life in the form of layoff, which I didn't expect it to have it right then. Okay, what's now?
Yeah, you're like, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So should I go get another job, or should I start something myself? Either way, it's not an easy thing to do. Yeah, it really made me think about what really I want to do in my life. I mean, I was working for the nonprofit, and that had a passion, but should I go back, or what really want? And I was in a dark place for a while. I didn't know what to do. Now I got laid off, and I had some time myself to spend quietly thinking about it.
Yeah.
Then I thought about, okay, this might be the time for my test, like like mental training time, maybe, or maybe spiritual development, the time for the spiritual development. And then I had families and good friends who are supportive, and they are very kind and nice. But when you are in that kind of life darkness in life, you really have to face your soul on your own, and nobody is going to help me. No, nothing is going to help you unless you help yourself. I come to that realization, and but what got me through that difficult time was like a wisdom of the people, or maybe inspirational life of others, or encouragement of those who have been on the journey before us. I mean, there's a lot of world wisdom out there, and then I'm not the only one who facing difficulties in life. Okay, look at those people. Maybe I look back those days in traveling to India. Their life isn't easy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my life may be tough now, but there's so much toughness out. Life isn't easy.
Right.
Okay, somehow I need to get through.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sayings and quotes that help me out to, or maybe, help me to get through. Something like, there's a number of quotes, but the one that I like is that when you're tested by crisis, you either regress and fall apart, or grow up and find a reserve of strengths and compassion that you didn't know that you are capable of.
Right.
Like,
so like fight or flight, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like, go where no path. No, it was like, do not go where a path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail. Something like that.
Like,
yeah.
create your own path. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the challenge is inevitable. Every life has challenge, but growth is optional. That's, that's
Exactly.
famous. Yeah. So, okay, I need to grow myself. And then, but if this is like, if this kind of inspiration helps me, this might help others as well. So that's kind of a idea of becoming or establishing or maybe starting this Lovetheway vaguely came to my mind. Like, okay, I love art. I love writing because I was a journalist. And then I love this kind of inspirational world. And then I love to help people. And okay, I need to somehow put everything together.
Is that the ikigai that they say? That I think it's Japanese, but say that it's, I don't know if it's called ikigai or whatever, but
Oh,
it's where,
ikigai?
yeah, it's where you make circles and everything has to kind of intertwine. And that's how you find your purpose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, ikigai is something that you feel the purpose of life by doing something. Yeah, so during that time, yeah, all these questions come to me. You have to answer this very difficult question, like who are you without a title?
Right.
Like if you're working for the company, you feel safe, so you may think that you are like maybe a manager of some company, right?
Yeah.
But without that title, who are you?
Exactly.
That's the question for everybody. And what you want to achieve in your life, the goal and happiness may be different, between the people. That's of course. But I asked myself, like, what is my purpose? And then, that's the very first time in my life that I really need to answer like it. And then I know I can answer now. I'm a spiritual being. I'm not a Christian, or I'm not a Buddhist, or I'm not I'm not really subscribing a particular religion, but then I'm a spiritual being experiencing a human life. And what I like to do, or like what I do in my life, it's like I want to achieve like a fullest and highest expression of myself. But in order to do that, I really need to improve myself every day to become a person who I wish to be and respect to be and expect to be, so that I can live my life up to my full potential. And then I like to make myself useful for others, like through the service that I provide for others. Or for the families or for communities. So the Lovetheway came to alive. Lovetheway is literally the way you love the way who you are. That's what that Lovetheway means. Through the inspirational art, because I use the Japanese character as a part of design.
Yeah. It's fortunate that the Japanese characters are some of the most, they look like art. It's just the writing. It's for you guys, it's words, but for everybody else, it's like some really nice art.
Right. And then each character has some meanings.
Oh.
So, right, like a love.
Okay.
Or compassion.
Right.
Or challenge or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I use those kanji, the Japanese letters, as a part of design, as a tool to give a powerful message to the audience. And through those inspirational form of art, I want to embrace everybody's life, like whoever they are and wherever they have come from. Yeah, I like to send a message of encouragement and inspiration to embrace their life journey. So that's sort of the initiation of the Lovetheway, and that's the purpose of Lovetheway, and that's what I'm working on right now. So basically, it's a art business. The product is art, but it's not just the art, but the message that I'm putting on to the art.
Art with a purpose.
Art with a purpose, yeah. So it just started, I launched it in March. So it's been only a few months since then. And I'm developing the business. And the business is a business. So there's always like a business side involved, like a marketing and nowadays there's a lot of marketing tools, including the social media. So I started a YouTube video talking about what is this piece of art, what this letter means, and what is the inspiration behind it, and what the story of this art. And I make a few minutes video clip, and then I put it on the YouTube channels. So that sort of things it's a challenging for me, putting myself out there in the YouTube. It's a kind of stepping out of the comfort zone, honestly. But that's something that I'm starting doing it.
Yeah. So what is your vision for Lovetheway? Where do you see it going, and what are you excited about?
So just as that I was helped by those words of wisdom or maybe inspirational words, I want to provide those tools for others, and but that I have to do as a business. So right now okay, you asked me about the vision. Eventually I like to reach out to the people who actually are needing this kind of inspirational contents. And I'm starting doing this in English, but that I like to actually translate that in a different language, so I can reach out. I mean, my audience can be everywhere, right?
International.
Especially post-COVID world. It's like we have so much unknown in the future. And I think that worlds are changing so much, but I think human nature is not changing. Human really need some kind of foundation, like something that you can hold on to it. That might be your faith, that might be your strong belief system, or something that even if you have a strong faith and a foundation, the human need a constant encouragement and input. And then I like to provide that sources for that. And then there's a lot of people doing it. Like people can do it with the music. People can do it through the speech, or you can provide the service through a community service type of things, home shelter, anything. People can do any form, but my form is through art.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to help and provide inspiration and support through your art for the world, basically.
Right now, yes. But if I grow my business.
When you grow your business.
When I grow business, yes. When I grow my business big enough, I could create my charity organization myself. Okay. And so that I can even reach out to the bigger audience. And I mean, I'm not really intending to have this art business as a side now. I'm growing big. Yeah. And then my audience will be not just the United States, but not just Japan, or not just, it's going to be global. Yeah.
And you have a lot of connections probably and experience in many different countries already from your previous careers, right?
Yeah, I have I used to work for the translation company.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, honestly, my company was working for the clients globally. So I have many connections who translate to the different language, and
Yeah.
But that's what you need to take, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the next step.
Just the next step.
I was just thinking, I was like, would be cool if you created something for the bliss seekers, like maybe this the word bliss in the Japanese letters, and we could put it in the studio and show it on like in the
Oh
background or
wow.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's so
I don't know.
cool.
It just came to my head, but I think that's an amazing. I mean, I think you already do have the vision. You just kind of said it because you always got to start with the end in mind. They say as long as you know the beginning and the end, the middle works itself out. So what I heard was that the ultimate goal is your own charity, and the beginning is love the way. Like in the beginning is you're finding yourself. You became very spiritual. You made it through these adversities because of this positive wisdom and quotes and all that kind of stuff. So you created love the way because it's all your passions and who you are mixed into one business, right? And when that becomes scalable, then the end goal is your charity. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you do already have the beginning and the
Right.
end. Now the middle is just going to work itself out with
Yeah.
hard work and continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The charity is something that okay, when you grow big, and then your name is known, you become influential. You are the influencer. You become influencer, and then you will draw more audience. And then that's what I want to do. Okay, Haruko as an artist, and maybe speaker, and then maybe a influential, inspirational speaker, and maybe advocate. There's a lot of challenges in life, whether it's a relationship problem or financial problem or poverty. There's so many problems in the world, but each one are struggling and fighting in your own place. I want to reach out those people as a sort of um, how do I say, it's really hard to put in the words, but I think this kind of energy that I'm putting into the art, or maybe the speech, when I talk to people, there's something coming out of me, or coming out of, not maybe through me,
Yeah.
something that's the world conspiring you and helping others. So that's what I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like a bigger purpose and maybe something spiritual or something that is given by something else that is through you that comes out in your art.
Right. There's a my favorite quote by Paul Coelho. He's the author of Alchemist. That's his bestseller book. I don't know if you know it.
I've heard of the book, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a one big truth in the planet. And whoever you are and whatever it is that you are doing, if you really want something, that desires originated in the soul of universe, not you, soul
Yeah.
of universe.
We all come from the universe.
Yeah. And that's the only, so accomplish that mission. It's a mission in your life. And to accomplish that mission is your only real obligation in the world. And then if you really want something, the whole universe will conspire
To help you.
to help you.
Yeah. That's perfect because that's what this podcast is about. Our purpose is to help people by bringing stories like yourself and others of people who are seeking their purpose, or maybe they've done something amazing in their life to find their purpose. Because like Paul Coelho, like how he says in the book, that's your only mission in life. At least that's what I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But that's your only mission in life, is to find out why you're here.
Yeah.
They say
Yeah.
there's two most important days in your life. First of all, the day you were born, obviously, right? The day your spirit popped from the universe into that human body, And then the next most important day is the day you find out why, you know. And our job, our mission at the Bliss Seekers is to help people find their true purpose and follow their purpose. And we say follow their bliss, right? So I think that's awesome. And you're doing it through art with Lovetheway, right? We're doing it through a podcast, right? And that's exactly why I wanted to have you on. So any last things you want to talk about before I get to a couple questions that I'm going to ask you at the end?
No, you can get right into the question now.
Okay. So, you know, my ex-co-host, Joe, she used to have this thing we call Joe 6Qs, right? But she's no longer here. And if you want to know why, watch the previous podcast. But, you know, she had these powerful questions, to make people think. So I'm going to kind of carry that tradition on a little bit. So the first question is, what does following your bliss look like for you this year in 2021, or following your purpose?
Now I found my mission. So I just need to keep going. And then I know that there's a lot of distraction coming to you. There's a lot of things gonna be testing you, how badly you want, like how strong you are on this journey. And my goal is not to get distracted by those things and kind of falling through, because a lot of people want something but that they just give up. I know that. And then I feel like I haven't accomplished anything that I want to in life, so I just need to keep going.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's very powerful you said that, because a lot of people they're starting podcasts. Like everybody has a podcast now, right?
Yeah.
And people will automatically tell me, well, I mean, everybody has a podcast. What makes you think that yours is going to be successful? And I say, I don't care what everybody else does. As long as I stay focused, I see people dropping off already. I mean, there's people that started when I started and they're already gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's something I learned in the previous organization, is that it's about just keep going. Like, like you said, the minute you set a goal, the universe is going to send adversity to see how bad you really want it. And by the way, people out there in YouTube land and, out there in the world, if something bad happens to you, that's not a sign that God or whatever tells you that not to do it. That's the universe testing you to see how bad you want it, right? So that's a great answer, because, as long as you have that in your mind, no matter what comes your way, if you keep going, eventually you will succeed. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, right? All right. So, your story, your journey has been a lot of traveling, a lot of overcoming adversity, a lot of kind of trying to find yourself. And it seems like you found yourself now, I'm 43. I'm starting to find myself, later in life. What would you tell people out there who maybe are like a young mother, or maybe just someone that, is trying to find themselves, right? What advice would you give somebody that's in that situation on maybe how to find themselves?
So sometimes it's really difficult to see the career path, and sometimes you feel stuck, and sometimes you feel just no way get out. And patience is very important, and as tough as the situation, you really need to learn to be patient, and then think and trust the process, because every experience is either blessings or learning. Nothing will be wasted. So even if that you're still don't know what to do, or kind of figuring out, or maybe mother with the children feel a little stuck, those time is going to be blessing too. And you reach out to others because you need help, even if that you're trying to be strong, there's so much you can take. So when that happens, you feel free to, reach out. It's okay to feel vulnerable or maybe weak. And I'm just happen to be kind of person. I'm not going to judge anybody by when somebody reach out to me, because I know how tough it is. So first, learn to be patient, and just trust the process, because everything is going to be blessings or learning, and reach out to people when you need it.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
I actually think that's the best way to finish this podcast. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But before we go, last words for everybody. Where can they find you? Not look at the camera here and just so just let them know last words from Haruko, and where can they find you?
Okay, so you can find me. My website is lovethewayart.com, and I can be on Facebook, Haruko DeArth, and Instagram also my name, Haruko DeArth. And then I started the YouTube as Haruko DeArth as well.
Okay, so pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
And we'll leave it all in the descriptions below as well. Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm learning a social media, so I'm not that good at it.
You'll get there. So any last words for the YouTube world out there?
Well, I'm so honored to be on a podcast, and I'm so happy to reconnect with you, Isaac, and learn a little bit about the bliss
seekers.
Bliss seekers, and feel so encouraged also by knowing what you are doing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for the opportunities, me being on your podcast. And then, we're just going to, stay in touch.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited to see how your podcast growing too.
Thank you. Yeah. And, it's funny because it feels like our purposes are kind of aligned, except you're doing it through art and I'm doing it through the podcast. So I have no doubt that you will be successful, because you already have been through a lot in your life. You've traveled the world, and you have the mindset in the right place. Like, you're not going to give up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you do have the end goal in mind. So I'm excited to see where Lovetheway and Haruko DeArth and your business goes to. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this video, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. It really helps out the podcast. And hit the notification bell. And all her information will be in the description below. And as always, follow your bliss. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Our goal, as always, is to become the #1 podcast in the world. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And make sure you share this with 3 of your friends. And if you like our song, our intro song, please check out my good friend Moroni Silva's band, A Dead Desire, on YouTube. That song is called The Mantra. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. And as always, follow your bliss.